So, what exactly is Stoicism? And it's not what you think. Hey there, let's talk about something that's been a game changer for me and for millions throughout history. It's not a new productivity hack, a fancy diet, or a secret meditation app. It's much older and much wiser. We're talking about Stoicism. Now, before your eyes glaze over at the thought of boring old philosophers with long beards talking in riddles, let me stop you right there. This isn't about that. Stoicism is, quite simply, an operating system for life. It's a practical toolkit for navigating the chaos, stress, and unpredictability of the modern world with a sense of calm, clarity, and purpose. Imagine this. Your flight gets canceled, stranding you at the airport for 12 hours. Your big work presentation totally bombs. You get stuck in terrible traffic when you're already late. Or on a much larger scale, you face a personal loss or a health scare. What do all these situations have in common? Your initial reaction is probably frustration, anger, anxiety, or sadness, right? Stoicism doesn't tell you to not feel those things. You're human. Instead, it gives you a framework to not be controlled by those feelings. It teaches you how to respond, not just react. The core idea of Stoicism is breathtakingly simple, yet incredibly profound. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. That's it. That's the secret sauce. Your opinions, your judgments, your actions, your values, your effort, these are yours to command. The weather, traffic, other people's opinions, the past, the economy, these are not under your control. Wasting your precious energy and emotional bandwidth on the things you can't control is the recipe for a life of anxiety and frustration. The ancient Stoics, guys like Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, the Roman emperor, Seneca, a hugely successful playwright and advisor, and Epictetus, who started life as a slave, weren't just theorizing. They were applying these principles in the most high-pressure situations imaginable. Marcus Aurelius wrote his private journal, now known as Meditations, while leading brutal military campaigns on the front lines. He was literally guiding an empire while dealing with betrayal, war, and plague, and his personal notes are all about reminding himself to stay calm, be just, and focus on his own virtue. So, in this video, we're not just going to learn history. We're going to break down exactly how you can use this ancient wisdom in your 21st century life. We'll talk about how it affects your health, your relationships, and your mind. This is about building an inner fortress of peace that no external circumstance can break down. Your superpower, the dichotomy of control. All right, welcome back. So we've established the golden rule. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. Sounds simple, right? But in the heat of the moment, it's incredibly difficult. Our brains are wired to panic, to worry, to try and control everything around us. It's a survival instinct. But in the modern world, that instinct often causes more suffering than the problems themselves. So how do we actually do this? How do we make this simple idea a reflex? The Stoics gave us a mental model called the dichotomy of control. It's a fancy term for a very simple practice, consciously sorting the events of your life into two buckets. Bucket number 1, things I control. My actions, my effort, my opinions, my values, my desires, my judgments, my attitude, my response to events. Bucket number 2, things I do not control, the past, the future, what other people say or do, the weather, the economy, traffic, other people's opinions of me, whether I get that promotion, whether my flight is on time. Most of our daily stress and anxiety comes from putting things into the wrong bucket. We desperately try to force other people to like us, bucket number 2, while neglecting our own character, bucket number 1. We rage against a traffic jam, bucket number 2, wasting energy we could use to listen to an audiobook or just enjoy a moment of quiet, bucket number 1. Let's make this real with an example. Imagine you have a huge job interview. What can't you control? Bucket number 2. You can't control who the other candidates are. You can't control the mood of the interviewer. Maybe they just had a fight with their spouse and are in a terrible mood. You can't control the questions they'll ask that might throw you off. You can't control the company's internal budget that might freeze hiring the next day. If you spend your mental energy before the interview worrying about these things, what happens? You walk into that room nervous, insecure, and trying to guess what they want. You're already defeated. What can you control? Bucket number 1. You can control your preparation. You can research the company deeply. You can practice your answers. You can choose your outfit. You can control getting a good night's sleep. You can control your effort to be polite and engaged. You can control your attitude, going in not as a beggar needing a job, but as a valuable asset having a conversation. When you focus only on bucket number 1, something magical happens. The anxiety melts away. Why? Because you've done your job. Your job wasn't to get the job. That's bucket number 2. Your job was to prepare and perform to the best of your ability. That's 100% within your power. The outcome is now irrelevant to your self-worth. If you get it, fantastic. If you don't, you can be at peace knowing you left nothing on the table. You controlled the controllables. The rest is not up to you. This is the foundation of mental resilience. This shift in focus is your superpower. It's the difference between being a puppet jerked around by external events and being the puppet master of your own inner state. The practice of premeditatio malorum, or why you should imagine everything going wrong. Okay, so we have our 2 buckets. Now, let's talk about one of the most counterintuitive but incredibly effective Stoic exercises. The ancient Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, which translates to the premeditation of evils. Sounds cheerful, right? But stick with me. This is a total game changer for anxiety. It doesn't mean being a pessimist or dwelling on the negative. It means consciously and rationally visualizing worst-case scenarios to rob them of their power to shock and terrify you. It's a vaccination for the mind. Here's how it works. Instead of just hoping your day goes perfectly, which it never does, you take a moment to calmly think about what could go wrong. But you don't just stop at, my presentation might fail. You go further. You walk yourself through it. Real-life example. You have to give a big presentation at work. The default reaction. You spend days anxiously hoping it goes well. You try to push any negative thoughts away. This builds up so much tension that you're a nervous wreck by the time you present. If one thing goes wrong, the projector fails, you internally panic. Your whole frame of mind crumbles. The Stoic practice, premeditatio malorum. The morning of the presentation, you take 60 seconds to think, okay, what if the projector doesn't work? Well, I have my notes. I can present without slides. It might even be more authentic and engaging. What if someone asks a really tough question I can't answer? That's okay. I can say, that's an excellent question. I don't have that data on hand, but I will find out and get back to you by the end of the day. That makes me look responsible, not stupid. What if I'm just really, really nervous and my voice shakes? So what? I'm human. The audience will understand. I'll take a breath, smile, and continue. The message is more important than a perfect delivery. Do you feel the difference? In the first scenario, you are terrified of these possibilities. In the second, you've already accepted them and formulated a plan. You've made peace with the evil before it even has a chance to happen. When you walk into that room, you are prepared for reality, not a fantasy of a perfect world. This creates an incredible sense of confidence and calm. This applies to everything. Driving to an important meeting. What if there's terrible traffic? Well, I'll call ahead to let them know I'm delayed, and I'll listen to a podcast to make use of the time. Going on a date. What if we have no chemistry and it's awkward? That's fine. It's just one evening. I'll practice being a good listener and learn something new about another person. By premeditating on these challenges, you accomplish two things. You realize that the vast majority of these disasters are not life-ending. They are manageable inconveniences. You proactively problem-solve, which makes you feel empowered instead of victimized. This practice isn't about attracting negative outcomes. It's about building a fortress of resilience so that no matter what happens, you are ready. It directly reduces everyday anxiety and prevents those moments of blind panic. How Stoicism directly impacts your physical and mental health. Hey, welcome back. So we're building this Stoic toolkit, and you might be thinking, this is great for my mind, but what about my body? Here's the incredible part. The two are utterly inseparable. Practicing Stoicism isn't just a philosophical exercise. It's a form of preventative medicine for your entire being. Let's break down exactly how this works. When you constantly worry about things you can't control, bucket number 2, your body doesn't know the difference between a real tiger chasing you and an angry email from your boss. It triggers the same primal stress response. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your system. Your heart rate and blood pressure spike. Your muscles tense up. Your digestion shuts down. Your immune system is suppressed. Now, imagine this happening dozens of times a day, every day, for years. You're constantly in a low-grade state of fight or flight. This chronic stress is directly linked to anxiety and depression, burnout and fatigue, heart disease and hypertension, weakened immune system, getting sick more often, digestive issues like IBS, sleep disorders. Stoicism acts as an off switch for this destructive cycle. By training your mind to recognize that the email, the traffic, the rude comment, these are not tigers, you prevent the stress response from activating in the first place. Real-life example. You get a critical message from your boss. The default reaction is panic. Your heart races, you can't think straight, you fire off a defensive reply, and you feel awful for hours. The Stoic response is to pause and apply the dichotomy of control. Can I control the fact that my boss sent this? Number. Can I control my reaction, my next action, and the effort I put into addressing the feedback? Absolutely. That simple moment of pause changes everything biologically. You short-circuit the panic. Your heart rate stays steady. You can think clearly. You might take a walk to cool down, then draft a rational professional response. The situation is resolved, and you move on with your day without carrying that toxic stress in your body. This is how Stoicism builds mental and physical resilience. It's not that Stoics never feel stress. It's that they have a tool to process it healthily before it becomes a physical burden. You are literally training your nervous system to be more robust. Furthermore, Stoic principles encourage other health-positive behaviors. Focus on character, not appearance. Stoicism teaches us to value virtue over external validation. This can lead to a healthier relationship with your body, focusing on what it can do, strength, health, vitality, rather than just how it looks, reducing anxiety around body image. Acceptance of what is. If you face a health challenge, Stoicism doesn't tell you to give up. It tells you to focus on what you can control: your treatment plan, your attitude, your diet, your effort in physical therapy. This proactive acceptance is empowering and reduces the helplessness that can worsen illness. By reducing the constant noise of anxiety and worry, you also create space for better sleep, more present relationships, and the mental clarity to make better choices for your well-being. It's a holistic upgrade. Taming the fire. The Stoic Guide to Managing Anger. All right, let's get real about one of the most destructive and hard-to-control emotions: anger. It's that flash of heat, the clenched jaw, the urge to say or do something you'll instantly regret. Whether it's road rage, a colleague taking credit for your work, or a frustrating argument with a loved one, anger can feel like it hijacks your entire body. The Stoics had a radical view on anger. They didn't see it as a powerful force to be harnessed. They saw it as a temporary madness, a weakness, and the ultimate failure of reason. Seneca, who wrote an entire book called On Anger, described it as brief insanity. But crucially, the Stoics also believed that anger is a choice. It doesn't happen to you. It is a response that you, perhaps subconsciously, choose. Their argument is this: anger is not caused by the event itself, but by your judgment of that event. Remember the buckets? The event is in bucket number 2. Your judgment and your reaction are in bucket number 1. Let's use a classic modern example. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The event: a car swerves into your lane. The default judgment: that jerk. He did that on purpose. He has no respect for me or anyone else. He deserves to be punished. The result: your heart pounds. You lay on the horn. You shout insults he can't hear. You tailgate him to teach him a lesson, putting yourself in danger. You carry this rage with you for the next hour, and it ruins your morning. Now let's apply the Stoic pause and re-examine the judgment. The event: a car swerves into your lane. Bucket number 2, can't control it. The Stoic reframing: what do I truly know about that driver? Maybe he's a new parent who was up all night with a crying baby and is distracted and exhausted. Maybe he just got terrible news and is rushing to the hospital. Maybe he simply didn't see me. It was probably a mistake, not a personal attack. Even if he is a reckless driver, my anger won't make him a better person. It only poisons me. Do you see the shift? The event didn't change, but your judgment of it did, and by changing the judgment, you completely disarm the anger. You might still feel a jolt of adrenaline. That's natural, but you don't fuel it into a raging fire. You let it pass through you. Epictetus gives us the perfect mantra for this. Remember, it is not he who gives abuse or blows who insults, but the view we take of these things as insulting. The other person's action is their business. Your reaction is your business. Your peace of mind is too valuable to hand over to a stranger in a car, a rude customer, or a frustrating colleague. This isn't about being a doormat. It's about being strategic and virtuous. The Stoic response to injustice isn't blind rage. It's calm, purposeful action. Instead of screaming at the colleague who stole your idea, you calmly schedule a meeting with your boss to present your original notes and evidence. That is action from a place of power, not reaction from a place of fury. Taming anger in this way is one of the most liberating things you can do for your mental state and your relationships. It saves you from saying the thing you can't take back. It protects your inner peace. This ability to pause and choose your response is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. And it builds something incredible within you: resilience. The inner fortress, what Stoicism develops in you. So far, we've talked about tools and techniques. But what happens when you practice this stuff consistently? It's not just about putting out daily fires. It's about a fundamental transformation of your character. It's about building an inner fortress that no external event can easily breach. Let's talk about the muscles Stoicism develops. First and foremost, Stoicism builds resilience. This is the ability to get knocked down 7 times and get up 8. It's not about avoiding falls. It's about knowing you have the strength to get back up. Every time you successfully navigate a frustration by focusing on your circle of control, you're doing a rep for your resilience muscle. You're proving to yourself that you can handle difficulty. This creates a deep, unshakable confidence that isn't based on everything going right, but on your ability to deal with things when they go wrong. Think of it like this. Two people face the same setback. Let's say a job loss. Person A, without resilience. Their identity was tied to the job. They fall into despair, see it as a personal failure, and their world crumbles. Person B, with stoic resilience. They feel the initial sting, of course. But then they apply their tools. Okay, I can't control that the company downsized. What can I control? I can update my resume today. I can reach out to 5 contacts in my network. I can use this time to reassess what I truly want to do next. Their self-worth remains intact because it was never based on the job title to begin with. Secondly, Stoicism cultivates emotional intelligence. This is a huge one. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding them. The Stoic pause creates a crucial gap between a stimulus, an event, and your response. In that gap, you gain the ability to observe your emotion instead of being the emotion. You learn to say, I am feeling anger right now. What judgment is causing this? Is it helpful? What would a wiser response look like? This is the essence of emotional mastery. You stop being a puppet on the strings of your fleeting feelings and become the puppeteer. Third, it fosters unshakable integrity. The Stoics believed that the highest good is virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Your character is the one thing that can never be taken from you. When your internal compass is aligned with these virtues, you stop making decisions based on what's easy or what will please others. You make decisions based on what is right. Real-life example. You see a coworker being treated unfairly in a meeting. The easy thing is to stay silent. But your stoic virtue of justice calls you to act. So, after the meeting, you might go to your coworker and offer support, or you might calmly and professionally voice your perspective to the manager involved. You do it not for praise, but because it's the right thing to do. This builds a profound sense of self-respect. Finally, Stoicism grants you true freedom. This was the ultimate goal for the ancients. And it's not freedom to do anything you want, but freedom from the things that torment you. Freedom from the opinions of others. Freedom from the fear of failure. Freedom from the constant craving for more stuff. Freedom from the anxiety of external events. A Stoic is free because their happiness and peace of mind are internally generated. They are no longer a slave to external circumstances. They can be happy in a traffic jam, peaceful in a crisis, and calm in the face of criticism. This is the power of the inner fortress. These traits, resilience, emotional intelligence, integrity, and freedom, are the real rewards. They are what make practicing this philosophy so profoundly life-changing. Ready to see how we can start weaving this into the fabric of our daily lives with some simple routines? Your daily Stoic workout. Practical exercises for modern life. All right, so we've got the theory down. We know about the buckets, about taming anger, and about building resilience. But knowledge is useless without action. Philosophy is meant to be lived, not just debated. So how do we actually make this a part of our daily routine? How do we move from understanding Stoicism to being Stoic? Think of it like going to the gym. You don't get strong by reading about exercise. You get strong by doing the reps. Your mind is the same way. Here are a few simple but powerful reps you can start doing today. 1. The morning meditation, the intentional day. This is your mental warm-up. Instead of grabbing your phone the second you wake up, take just 5 minutes. Sit on the edge of your bed or with your coffee and mentally rehearse the day ahead. This is where you use that premeditatio malorum we talked about. Ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? A difficult meeting? A tedious chore? How will I handle them with virtue? With patience? With courage? With justice? What things are outside my control today? The weather, my boss's mood, traffic. I will accept them and not fight them. This isn't about dreading the day. It's about preparing for it. You're inoculating yourself against frustration before it even has a chance to appear. You're setting your intentions. As Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself each morning, when you wake up, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, and so none of them can hurt me. 2. The evening review, the retrospective. This is your cool down. Before you go to sleep, take another 5 minutes to review your day. Be a kind but honest coach to yourself. Ask yourself, where did I do well? Where did I act with virtue? Where did I fail? Did I lose my temper? Did I worry about things outside my control? What could I do better tomorrow? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about calm, objective analysis. No judgment, just learning. Seneca practiced this, writing, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." 3. Practice poverty or voluntary discomfort. This one sounds weird, but it's incredibly powerful. Periodically, voluntarily choose to be uncomfortable. Take a cold shower. Walk instead of driving. Skip a meal. Drink water instead of coffee. Why on earth would you do this? 2 reasons. It builds gratitude. By temporarily giving up comforts, you appreciate them profoundly when you have them. That morning coffee tastes incredible after you've skipped it once. It builds resilience. It teaches your body and mind that you can handle discomfort, that it won't kill you. So when involuntary discomfort hits, a financial pinch, a power outage, a real problem, you're already trained. You meet it with strength, not panic. These small daily practices are how you forge an iron will and a peaceful mind. They are the practical application of everything we've discussed. They transform Stoicism from an interesting idea into a lived experience, ready to see how this all comes together when facing one of life's biggest challenges. How to reframe failure. The Stoic Archer's mindset. Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about something that terrifies almost everyone. Failure. Not getting the job. A project bombing. A business idea not working out. A relationship ending. We're taught to avoid failure at all costs, to see it as a mark of shame, a sign that we weren't good enough. The Stoics have a completely different and, frankly, liberating way to view it. They introduce the concept of the archer. Think of a skilled archer. What is within his control? He can carefully choose the best arrow. He can practice for thousands of hours to perfect his form. He can polish his bow. He can wait for the perfect moment, take a deep breath, and focus all his energy on releasing the arrow with perfect technique. He does all of this. He controls all of it. But what happens the moment the arrow leaves the bowstring? It is no longer in his control. A sudden gust of wind can blow it off course. The target might move. It might hit a branch he didn't see. The archer's job was to shoot to the best of his ability. The outcome, hitting the bullseye, is not his to command. This is the perfect metaphor for any effort in our lives. Your job is to be the best archer you can be. Your job is your effort, your intention, your preparation, your virtue. The outcome, the promotion, the sale, the win, the approval, is the arrow flying through the wind. It is subject to a million external factors you can't control. Real-life example. You pour your heart and soul into a proposal for a dream client. You work nights and weekends. You research, you perfect it. You practice your pitch. This is you pulling the bowstring with all your skill. You present it flawlessly, but you don't get the client. The Stoic doesn't see this as a failure. Why? Because you succeeded in the only thing that was ever truly yours: your effort. You did your job. The client's decision was based on their internal budget, the wind, a competing proposal from a friend of the CEO, the moving target, or a simple change in company strategy, the unseen branch. It was never fully within your power to make them say yes. When you internalize this, the fear of failure loses its power. You are freed to try bold things because your self-worth is no longer tied to the outcome. You can be proud of your effort regardless of the result. This is how Stoics become incredibly courageous and persistent. They are not deterred by failures because they don't define themselves by them. The practice here is to consciously separate your intentions and efforts, which you control, from the outcomes and results, which you largely don't. At the end of any endeavor, ask yourself the Stoic question: did I do everything within my power to give this my best shot? If the answer is yes, then you have already succeeded. The rest is just noise. This mindset is the ultimate antidote to procrastination and perfectionism, which are both rooted in the fear of a bad outcome. Just knock your arrow, draw your bow, and let it fly. This leads us to perhaps the most beautiful Stoic concept of all: amor fati. Amor fati, the ultimate goal: to love your fate. We've talked about accepting what we can't control. We've talked about not being angry at obstacles. But the Stoics, as they often do, take it a step further, a massive, life-altering step. They introduce a concept called amor fati, pronounced amor fati. It's a Latin phrase that translates to a love of one's fate. This is more than just acceptance. Acceptance can be passive, even grudging. Fine, I accept this terrible thing happened. Amor fati is active, enthusiastic, and transformative. It means to embrace everything that happens to you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, not as misfortunes, but as necessary pieces of the puzzle that is your life. It is to see every obstacle, every setback, every failure as fuel for your growth and an opportunity to practice virtue. The famous Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was born a slave and had his leg brutally broken, laid the groundwork for this when he said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish, but wish for everything to happen as it actually does happen, and your life will be serene." But it was the later philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by the Stoics, who gave us the perfect phrase, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati," that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. Let's make this incredibly practical. Remember the canceled flight from the very beginning of this video? Let's trace the Stoic progression, the default reaction: rage, frustration, complaining to the airline staff, miserably scrolling through your phone for hours, a ruined day, Stoic acceptance, the dichotomy of control. I can't control this. Getting angry won't make a plane appear. I can control getting on the standby list, finding a hotel, and using this time to read my book. It's okay. This is good. This is peaceful. Amor fati, loving your fate. This is fantastic. I was moving too fast anyway. This is a forced pause I needed. Look, I've been meaning to call my sister for a long chat. Now I have the time. That book has been on my list for months. Maybe I'll even meet an interesting person in the line for customer service. This isn't an obstacle. It's an unexpected adventure and a gift of time. Do you feel the radical difference in energy? One perspective saps your energy. The other gives you energy. How does this affect your health? Profoundly. Living with amor fati is the ultimate state of non-resistance. You are no longer fighting reality. This eliminates the internal struggle that causes the vast majority of our stress and anxiety. Your body can remain in a state of equilibrium because your mind is not constantly screaming, "This shouldn't be happening." You flow with life instead of fighting against its current. This is how you transform your entire narrative. A job loss isn't a catastrophe. It's the push you needed to start the business you always dreamed of. A ended relationship isn't a failure. It's a painful but necessary lesson that prepares you for the right person. A health diagnosis isn't a death sentence. It's a wake-up call to truly appreciate your body and your life. Amor fati is the practice of finding the good, the lesson, and the opportunity in everything. It is the ultimate declaration that you are the author of your meaning, and you refuse to let external circumstances write a story of victimhood for you. This is the peak of Stoic practice. But even the peak has a view to something greater. Sympatheia. Seeing yourself in the world and others. Welcome to our final stop. We've built our inner fortress. We've learned to love our fate. But if we stop there, we risk becoming cold, isolated, or detached. The ancient Stoics would say we've missed the most important point. The ultimate aim of all this inner work isn't just personal peace. It's to live a life of virtuous action in the service of others. This brings us to the grand, beautiful Stoic concept of sympatheia, pronounced sympatheia. It's the idea that everything in the universe is interconnected, woven together in a single, rational web. We are all part of a greater whole. For the Stoics, this wasn't just a nice idea. It was a scientific and spiritual fact. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this in his meditations. What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee. We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on them, that is obstruction. So what does this feel like in daily life? It's the final piece of the puzzle. It means that when you practice the dichotomy of control and achieve that inner calm, that peace isn't just for you. It's a resource you now have to be more patient with your children, more understanding with your